Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, and today I'm reviewing the new, well, not so new now, jukebox musical Rock of Ages. See, the thing with this movie, it was originally we were going to see it for my dad's Father's Day gift, but as you can tell by the date I'm uploading this, that did not work out. But aside from that, I was still hyped to see this movie, and though you can probably guess that from what I'm wearing. And I didn't just dress up like this for the review. I went to the theater dressed like this. I'm not kidding. I really did. So anyway, how was the movie? Well, let me make something clear first. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought to myself, let's see, you have Julianne Hough, Diego Boneta, Mary J. Blige, Paul Giamatti, Alec Baldwin, Russell Brand, Malin Ackerman, and Tom Cruise singing the songs of Pat Benatar, REO Speedwagon, Def Leppard, Journey, Poison, and a whole bunch of other people. This opportunity will never, ever, ever come again. You had better deliver. So I got a little worried that it couldn't possibly live up to the hype. But then a friend says, like, they say don't stop believing and all that. But anyway, I went to see the movie and did live up to the hype. Of course it did. What else did you expect? But anyway, let's see. Another issue I have with this movie, like, it's being made by New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers, who have given us such classics as Batman and Robin and the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. So as you can tell, they're both really tough cookies with long histories of breaking little hearts like the one in me, but I told myself, that's okay, let's see how they do, pull up their dukes, let's get down to it and hit me with your best shot at all that jazz. Anyway, so let's talk about the story. Well, the story is, well, it's about a small town girl living in a lonely world and a city boy born and raised in South Detroit, and they meet up in Hollywood during the rock era, and they fall in love, and they think they don't love each other because of some misunderstanding, and then they get back. Plot's as predictable as it gets. How predictable exactly? I could tell the plot of this movie just from the soundtrack. Yeah, I didn't need any visuals or any dialogue. Just the soundtrack itself was enough to tell me what was going to happen. But aside from that, how was the movie? It was really good. Well, why? Let's talk about the characters first. The first is Julianne Hough as Sherry Christian. Guess what song that's referencing? Anyway, she's just, like I said, a small town girl living in a lonely world and blah blah blah. She moves to the big city in Hollywood to start a music career or something, cliched stuff. At first I thought her singing voice was I'm going to admit her singing voice is a little generic, but the thing is, then I was a little, from what I heard in the soundtrack and saw in the trailers, her singing voice sounded pretty generic, and I was worried why they couldn't get someone like, I don't know. Yeah, Julianne Hough in this movie seemed like a poor man's Reese Witherspoon, but then I realized who Julianne Hough was. She was the girl from the remake of Footloose. Why couldn't we have that Julianne Hough in this movie? She doesn't dance in this movie at all. She's a phenomenal dancer in that movie. She's even on Dancing with the Stars, but she doesn't dance here. Just because you can dance doesn't mean you can sing. Aside from that, she did okay with what she was given. I can't say exactly the same thing for Diego Boneta, whoever the hell that is. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's an actor or somebody, I don't know him. Yeah, his singing voice, yeah, he's way too generic to be the jukebox hero we needed for this movie, but... So yeah, I didn't care for his character that much. Let's see, who else is there? There's Paul Giamatti as a cliched, evil agent who controls the life of the main character, who controls the careers of the characters, specifically one character who I'll talk about later. So, but yeah, he's a walking cliche, but to be fair, he gets some funny lines. He doesn't sing that much, though, which is a shame because he kind of had a cool singing voice, but yeah, like I say, he doesn't really do much or sing much outside the cliche stuff. And the same can sadly be said for Mary J. Blige, whose character, she's just there because she has a cool singing voice. She has a great singing voice, don't get me wrong, but her character doesn't really do much or change or develop or really contribute anything besides her singing voice. So yeah, I have little to say about her. Malin Ackerman, whoever she is, I don't know her. She plays the reporter who interviews Tom Cruise's character, who I'll talk to later, and falls in love with him in the process. She has a very beautiful singing voice, and she was kind of a much more engaging actress than Julianne Hough was. But yeah, she did a good job. She has a nice voice. She gets probably one of the sexiest duets ever with Tom Cruise, who again I keep saying I'll talk about later. But Yeah, funny thing is the two girls who were originally slated to play this character, I forget her name, but originally this role was either to be played by Anne Hathaway or Amy Adams, but they both dropped out, and here's the kicker, because Hathaway was busy with The Dark Knight Rises and Amy Adams was busy with the new Superman movie, Man of Steel. That's just weird. Anyway, she did okay, nothing really special about her. Then here's one of my favorite characters, Catherine Zeta-Jones as the villain, who's like this Anita Bryant-esque character. You know, she's always going high. It's like rock and roll is the devil and all that other crap that you've heard a million times before. I can tell, like, as you all, anyone who's seen Chicago knows Catherine Zeta-Jones can sing and dance, and unfortunately, she only gets 2 songs in this movie, but for what she's given, she does very well. She plays the part a little over the top, but I think that's what they were going for. And comes the 2 characters everyone's probably talking about, Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand. Those 2 are hilarious. They almost make the entire movie. They're a little cliche, but let's just say they get to sing a song together, and it closes with what is possibly the greatest thing ever. I won't spoil it for you here, but you just have to see it. But let's just say it's the greatest thing ever. And finally, let's get to the character everyone's talking about, Tom Cruise as Stacey Jacks, our token rock god for the evening. I got to admit, when I heard Tom Cruise was playing this part, I was like, I said to myself, who would be crazy enough to cast Tom Cruise as this alcoholic, oversexed celebrity who's involved with strange religious practices? Who thought Tom Cruise would fit that description? Anyway, despite that, he actually plays the part well. Like, the voice is pretty spot on, the hair and clothing is spot on. The problem was his physique. Like, he was too healthy to play the character. See, Stacey Jackson is supposed to be like this Freddie Mercury or Leonard Skinner or Mick Jagger type, and for, you know, someone who's on the really, really skinny side, and for something like that, you need a Johnny Depp or a Sacha Baron Cohen for that. Speaking of Sacha Baron Cohen, he's slated to play Freddie Mercury in the upcoming biopic, but aside from that, I don't know anything about it. I just thought both rock and roll, so I'd bring them up. So yeah, despite that, Tom Cruise does pretty well, and actually his singing voice is really good. Apparently he's always wanted to sing, and I guess I can see why. So yeah, he does pretty well. I mean, he won't win any Oscars for it, and yeah, I don't care much for Tom Cruise either, but for what he could have been, it's pretty good. Let's go back to the plot for a minute. Like, I guess it throws some cliches, throws some of the cliches a little twist around. Like, we get to see Diego Boneta, like, he becomes like part of this like boy band. I guess it's like a satire of the whole like well, this is right before the whole 90s boy band thing, you know, with people like New Kids on the Block and such. And but it just that plot point doesn't really go anywhere. It's not very interesting. It just makes you wonder, what's the deal with this pop life and when is it gonna fade out? And yeah, that's all I could feel while I was watching that part of the movie. Well, our people complain that this movie is, despite all that predictability, this movie is still enjoyable in its campiness. And people have complained that this movie is too campy. It's like, really? Did you expect anything else from this kind of movie? It's a musical about rock and roll. What did you expect? I mean, come on, and talking about cliche love stories, if Moulin Rouge can be nominated for Best Picture, what makes this one so bad? I guess Moulin Rouge was, and trust me, Moulin Rouge is a lot crazier and weirder than this movie ever will be. So yeah, you got that part out of me. As for the film's soundtrack, well, do I even need to say it'll rock you like a hurricane? So overall, I can't say this movie makes you feel like I can't say this film feels just like living in paradise, and I guess it is a little long, but it never feels long. Like, it never feels like the movie never ends, or that it goes on and on and on and on, or anything like that. It's very enjoyable. It's very fun. That's the idea. Don't expect nothing but a good time. Just like the poster says, nothing else. Don't expect the meaning of life or anything like that. It's just fun. So overall, Rock of Ages is very fun, very enjoyable. I say go see it, and you won't have to worry about memorizing the lyrics, because trust me, you'll probably already know the songs. Well, looks like I got another review over and done with. Well, here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Goodbye.